of a police chief by U.S.-trained militia forces. Brigadier General Ghulam Ranjabar, the chief military prosecutor in Kabul, has accused the U.S. of creating an outlaw militia. See, they use proxy networks for plausible deniability so they don't have to get their hands dirty directly, which allegedly, yes, right, allegedly, shot dead Matullah Katay, the chief of police in the city of Kandahar. He accused American officials of refusing to hand over evidence or to permit his investigators to interview the Special Forces commander. And what's his name? Known to Afghans only as John or Johnny. He alleges sanctioned the raid. So they don't even say, I'm a colonel, I'm a general, this is my name. They give out one of the dozens of aliases to the masses. So again, they're not prosecutable. They cannot be traced back to the crime. This is standard operating procedure and has been for over half a century. The arrest warrant, which has been circulated to border posts and airports, is an embarrassment for the U.S. military, which is facing growing criticism for its links to militias controlled by who? Warlords. And of course, the head warlord is Walid Ahmed Karzai, Hamid Karzai's brother, and the lead opium dealer, supported by who? The CIA for the last 8 years, superseding both the Bush and Obama administrations. In Kandahar, the militias have been accused of murder, rape, and extortion. Ranjabar said an investigation found the force that killed Katay operated from where? Camp Gecko, U.S. military training facility in the hills outside of Kandahar, a base for both U.S. Special Forces and who? The CIA. There it is right there, folks, for pacman.pt.vu viewers. If you go to Kandahar, people say these guys pretend to be interpreters, but they carry out night raids and assassinations, said Ranjabar. We hear lots of strange and shocking stories. But according to the Afghan account, the militia known locally as Kandahar Strike Force or the Kandahar Special Group arrived in the courthouse last June with U.S.-supplied uniforms, vehicles, and weapons. And who are they linked to? Again, Karzai's brother, Ahmed Wali Karzai. It's all here in black and white. When are we going to wake up? And then the New York Times does this puff piece, which intercedes with this information. Despite doubts, U.S. still uses private spies. Where were you doubting this? The military-industrial complex always uses Blackwater, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon to carry out some of their dirty work. Top military officials have continued to rely on a secret network of private spies who have produced hundreds of reports from deep inside Afghanistan and Pakistan, according to American officials and businessmen, despite concerns among some in the military about the legality of the operation, because it is illegal. Illegal. Earlier this year, government officials admitted that the military had sent a group of former Central Intelligence Agency officers, notice that, former Central Intelligence Agency officers, and retired special operation troops, mercenaries, folks, into the region to collect information, some of which was used to track and kill people suspected of being militants. Interviews with more than a dozen current and former government officials and businessmen and an examination of government documents tell the story. Under Pentagon rules, the Army is not allowed to hire contractors for spying, but they are. But of course, military officials said that General David H. Petraeus, the top commander in the region, signed off on the operation in January of 2009. There were prohibitions against intelligence gathering, including hiring agents to provide information about enemy positions in Pakistan. And again, if you watch Invisible Empire, we have one of the main contractors there talking about the contracting, talking about Petraeus's coin strategy. And what part of coin strategy are they talking about? Oh, biometrically taking the scans of everybody in a combat zone and hiring local nationals, aka the Taliban. And he admits that they work with the Taliban there, but the Taliban are our enemies, Jason. How does this work? And then they go on to say that this is managed, and zoom in here, managed by who? Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin and supervised by the Pentagon office in charge of special operations policy. Lockheed Martin running the secret spy network that interconnects with U.S. Special Forces and the CIA, where they go murder local police officials. All right, I said I'd go to your calls, so we're going to hit it up. We're taking your calls. Pastor in Ohio. Pastor, you're on the line.
Yes, well, I was calling earlier when Alex had his guest on, but one of the things I was listening to what you were saying, one of the things you was talking about deception, our Columbus Ohio mayor just met with Barack Obama about closed doors. As a matter of fact, him and Newark, New Jersey mayor and Minneapolis, Minnesota mayor, they all met with him this past week, or yesterday, talking about terrorism. Now, they're bringing up Somalians that live in the Columbus area and stuff, but the problem is, it was a matter of national security, and with all the things that, you guys have been allowing us, the people, to know. I mean, you guys are sharing your knowledge with us as far as everything that's going on around the world. I just want, first of all, praise you guys for what you're doing, because more and more people are waking up.
Well, Pastor, listen, I appreciate the call, and there has been a effort to really demonize Somali pirates around the world and say those Somali pirates, they're terrorists now. Everybody's a terrorist. There's no other terms out there. You do something bad, you're a terrorist. So they may be using them as the next scapegoat, the next patsy in their false flag operations, and we have to be very wary of that. Appreciate the call. John in Ohio. John, you're on the line.
Yeah, I've been waiting to talk to Alex, too, but I can talk to you in a minute or two. Just wouldn't it be silly to think that my disagreements on certain points could be developed that way. Something like WSWS.org or Workers.org, having a program uninterrupted for a year might do it. But I wanted to make the point that I think Alex and this program is really fighting the IMF, the World Bank, the CIA, the military-industrial complex on half of its positions, but is absolutely strongly supporting them on the other half.
Hold on, let's stop. What are we possibly supporting on the IMF? What are we possibly supporting on global governance? What are we possibly supporting? You're not going to have that much time, so give me at least one well-put example, sir.
Well, I've got about 10, but if you're talking about when Alex uses as an example of censorship and constantly piggybacks on the corporate media's bashing of Chavez rather than the country right next door.
Let's stop, John. Chavez is a dictator out and out. He stopped media companies throughout his country over the last 12 months openly. I feature him as one of my dictators very briefly in Invisible Empire. Has Chavez done some good things? Sure, he's done some good things out there, but he is a dictator. You can't vote him out of power. That's not freedom. That's not a constitutional republic. I'm not pro-communist, man, and neither is Alex Jones. So that's not fronting for the IMF and the World Bank to point out that he's not good either, that Ahmadinejad, although he speaks some truth, he talks 9/11 truth, he talks about some truth, he should be able to be a sovereign nation and be left alone. He's not great either. I just can't agree with this stuff, John. I'm sorry. Nick in Arkansas, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
Jason,
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. Listen, I just want to tell you, I just saw Invisible Empire. We got this DVD burners fired up. Great movie. For anybody who hasn't watched it or doesn't really know much about the New World Order, this is super crash course in the New World Order. And I'm really excited about what's going on. Rand Paul winning in Kentucky. That is so awesome.
It's awesome.
Blanche Lincoln seems to be doing a runoff here in Arkansas. I'm happy to report about that. Hopefully we can get her out. Do you know of any candidates in this area that are pro-gun, pro-libertarian, against the New World Order?
Not off the bat in Arkansas, but I will say this. We are having great victories. And with Arlen Specter out, Arlen Specter has been a staple of the Senate for decades right now. That is a huge victory. It shows the global awakening is also taking place, not just around the globe, but in this country. And all the subversion by Fox News trying to take over the Tea Party events isn't going to work. We're going to continue to put our people into office. And at these rallies, it would be great if people got a copy of Don't Tread on Me and Invisible Empire and made copies of those films and handed out hundreds and thousands of those films, because that's how we're going to get the information out. That's how we show what the quote-unquote New World Order is, how it is a push, an ideal for a global government. Who was talking about that global government today? Brzezinski. And of course, Brzezinski is featured in the film. Appreciate the call, Nick. Stephen in Florida. Stephen, you're on the line.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, Jason. Hang on. Okay, there we go.
All right, what's on your mind, Stephen?
A couple things. First of all, Alex had Gary Franchi with Restore the Republic on a couple days ago and did a really good interview. And I get Gary's reality report. It's an email report he sends out. It's really good. And in the latest one, I wanted to ask you about to see what you think. He was talking about the Arizona immigration bill, and he said after further looking into it, he's changed his position and believes based on the wording in that bill, it's actually a backdoor for the federal government to come in and do what that bill calls for illegals, for anybody in the United States, just like the Patriot Act does with so-called terrorists.
Well, I got to tell you, Stephen, when it was first introduced to me and I didn't know much about it, I said that very same thing, that a lot of these laws look good on the surface, but they're a backdoor for global governance and federal control. So I'm going to have to take a look at it, but I don't know. As far as I know, the way it's being carried out right now, if they pull somebody over and they appear to be an illegal immigrant, I don't think it's a bad thing to check if they have a consular matricular card or they indeed are a citizen, and if not, they send them over the border. I think that is a good thing. Appreciate the call. Before I go